Yeah. Man, it's been a minute. It's been if a minute
Yes.
when the scripture says a day is like 1,000 years to the Lord, that's what it's been like for us. A day is like
Facts.
1,000 years. You know what I'm saying? It's Friday night. Just got paid. Salt and pepper in them. What y'all know about that? We gonna get it in the night. As you can
What?
see, I got the homie with me. You know what I'm saying? Cross-examine extraordinaire. Strack the Wolverine, ladies and gentlemen.
What up? What up? What
Yeah,
up?
yeah, 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 yeah. We gonna do it right.
It's been so
Man,
long.
bro, it's been a minute, fam. It's been a minute
Yeah, it
since
definitely
we've
has.
done a cross-examine. Bro, I haven't even worn these, bro. I haven't worn these in a minute. Like I couldn't even find my other headphones because I was like, I don't use them when it's just me. So we had to work
Right.
through all of that. But man, hey, good to see you, bro. Good to be back. Let's talk a
Definitely
little
good
bit
to see
about
you,
man
brother. I
Strack.
mean,
Where you been?
brother, I've been here, man. You know,
Yeah.
I've made some moves. I'm at the restaurant now, living in the back. We set up the whole apartment setup, so we in a one facility setup now.
Right.
We doing our thing, man. God has been good
That's what's
to us,
up.
man. Florida's been, she's been now, I'm gonna say almost 2 years cancer free, man. So
Wow.
it's been
Amen,
good,
bro.
man. Definitely. Still
Amen,
making
brother.
music, still repping the church, still repping Christ. Yes.
Yeah, so you're not a part of the great apostasy we see going on, right?
Oh nah, man, definitely not, man. Listen, if there's anything that I long for more than anything, is to see Jesus, brother. And may that always be every day,
Yeah,
my
amen.
longing. You know what I'm saying?
Amen, amen. You know what I'm saying? Let me see
Yes.
what's up in the chat. Let's get it. God bless both your households. Jane, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Brandon, the homie. Brandon been gone for a little bit
What
too.
up, Brandon?
He
What's going
he
on?
he left when you
Yeah.
left. But he brought it back to the
Oh,
grill
what?
again, the grill again, back to the grill again, the grill again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Kemp just got paid. I was talking about when Salt and Pepper hit that joint. Well, it's Friday night and I just got paid. But now that was from the Johnny Kemp joint. You know how it is. Kyle was good, was good.
Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, bro. We got a lot to talk about, man. It's the world is burning, my dude. But real quick, before we
Yeah,
get into that,
definitely.
you got some new music out there. You know, I'm getting ready to drop the Assassination album, JFK, Kirk Kennedy,
Oof.
Jonathan Perea. My worship, we got some heat coming. This joint is going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. But what you doing musically, man? What's going on?
Word. Oh man, I mean, right now I've been dropping singles with this dude named Steady Styles. Like he's a producer, throwback dude. I mean, live right down the block from like Kid Capri. You know what I'm saying? Like my man
That's what's
grew up
up.
that way. Like he was embedded in the hip hop community from years back. So it's been a pleasure to do music with him. Steady, he loves the Lord. He's going through a lot, man, but the Lord has preserved him and his wife. So being able to unite with people like that and pray with them and talk with them about how God uses us in our gifts has been a good
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, I got singles dropping with him on the regular, man. I think there's two more dropping with him, and then I'm working on a project that I'm not gonna say who I'm doing it with yet, but the producer is out in Cali, and he's making a little bit of noise right now, and I'm making a little bit of noise, and we gonna collide and make a little bit more noise.
That's what's
So,
up.
and then of course, looking forward to working on that Beast and Wolverine collabo. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. That's gonna be
Yes,
the
sir.
the CHH, the fall off the album. That's gonna be that where everybody's waiting for. So that joint, I'm telling you.
The Fallout Project.
Well,
Yeah.
J. Cole got the fall off coming. And everybody's talking about that's gonna be the album
Right,
of the
right, right.
year, whatever. So the cheat code, the Beast and Wolverine album gonna be tough. I got production that's crazy, bro. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm dropping. So next Friday
definitely.
on my Bandcamp, I'll be dropping the Assassination Project, the album. Me and Jonathan Perea. So it's kind of like the for those of you that know secular hip hop, when Jay-Z and R. Kelly did the best of both worlds, where you got him singing, Jay rapping, beats grooving. That's kind of what this project is. We felt like we haven't really seen nothing like that in hip hop. Now I ain't saying I'm Jay and he's Kelly, but just like
I was gonna
this,
say I don't know if I don't know if we want to be using these names, man. Like just we might not want to use those comparisons anymore. But what's been going on? I don't know. I mean,
true, but I mean if they soft like that and they can't handle a little just an analogy or whatever, then I don't know what to tell you, man. Like you gotta tighten up a little bit. So, but yeah, so this album is good, man. My dude, he sings, he's a good singer. You know, I'm rapping, so it's a project that I don't think there's many projects like this in the space that we're in. You know, there's always songs with people singing and stuff like that. You always have people on hooks, but this is a whole album devoted to that. Well, he got a couple of solo joints. I got a couple of solo joints. But I think the groove is going to be something that people haven't heard in a while. So I'm excited. So that'll drop on the 18th on my Bandcamp. And then November 1st, it'll be out on all DSPs everywhere for people to get. So I'm excited about that. So real quick, since we're talking about J. Cole, have you heard did you hear his Poor Antonio joint? Did you hear his response?
The response to the whole battle and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. So I heard people talking about it. Let me put it that way. I haven't gone and checked it out. This morning I was listening to I think might have been the Breakfast Club discussing it or something. But that's it. So I heard some of the stuff he says in it, but yeah, I haven't heard the track. Nah, I haven't actually taken the time to listen to it.
Yeah, I think it's a good track, bro. I think you'll bang with it because one. What I like about J. Cole, just from an artist perspective, I'm not talking about content, just from an artist perspective, like he's from our era of rap, right? Where you rap.
Facts.
You know, like he's not from the current era. I mean, even Kendrick, Drake, even though Drake has more morphed into the current era of rap, J. Cole was from where lyrics actually matter, rhyme schemes matter, entendres matter. And so in this particular song, I think he needed to do this song for his brand because so many people thought that Strack will be back and be back. But so many people thought that he dropped out of the Kendrick and Drake and that whole thing, and he took a hit to his brand initially. But then as the brand started to develop, as the beef started, people started realizing like, man, I think that was a good move for Cole to step out of that, right? But I was thinking for his brand, how is he going to come back from that? Because there were people that were like, oh man, you know, and when you're in a competitive genre, like rap music is probably the only music where the genre is competitive. Like you don't hear country music. It might be competitive behind the scenes, but you don't hear country artists saying, well, I'm better than you and I can sing. You don't hear that. Like that's not how it is. It's not a competitive sport. It's just you make music, I make music. The competition is in the album sales. Well, rap is like we will go against each other to say who's the better artist, who's the conglomerate, right? So I felt like for rap, J. Cole, his brand, he needed to kind of say something because if he's going to drop this album to fall off, people would be like, yeah, but you fell off to me because you dropped out of the Kendrick situation. But he addressed it well. I think he addressed and explained in the song, he addressed it well, why he addressed it well, why he didn't stay involved in it, and I thought it was really mature of him. So, you know, little technical difficulties, but we
my bad, people, my bad.
That's all right. That Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi. I've been there. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely got the Wi-Fi popping off over here.
I've been on some Wi-Fi. So you'll check that out.
So you think he addressed it? You think J. Cole addressed it well?
I do think he did. I think in his second verse, he explained that, like, I basically, in one bar, he said, like, I wouldn't have lost the battle. I would have lost a bro. I would have gained a foe. For what? For like, for people to make blogs about it and YouTube and build their income up and yet I'm over here beefing with dudes that I actually have a relationship with, just so y'all can say I'm the best. Like that don't got nothing to do with what I'm about, you know. So I thought it was dope, man. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like the flow because it's like the type of rap that we come from.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
And I think the reason why I'm saying that is because you still release music. I still release music, and the vast majority of people in this era aren't from the kind of rap that we're from. So when J. Cole, one of the kings of the rap game, releases a song where he's spitting and people like it, it opens the door for there to be an appreciation for that type of rap with the cares about lyricism, entendres, and all that type of stuff. So I think you'll appreciate it for that reason.
yeah, every time J. Cole spits, I appreciate it. Like you said, he's from that, so he definitely that type of style. He delivers a music that requires you to have an ear to listen. You know what I mean? Like you really gotta listen to hear
Well
that
said.
joint. So I appreciate it. I think he would have done all right, honestly, in the battle. I think he would have done all right. I mean, Kendrick Lamar, I think, is on a different creative as far as they tap into the level of artist, super creative. So
Man, you sound
go
like
there if
Max
he wanted
Headroom
to.
out this joint.
He makes art. Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
It ain't your fault, it's just the Wi-Fi.
Am I still? Am I so?
Now I can hear you. I can hear you
Yeah.
good right now.
Damn, that's terrible. Okay, so I was just basically saying like I think J. Cole could go there creatively if he wanted to, as far as the level that Kendrick gets to. Um, but that's just not what he is, man. The music that he does is he does appeal to a culture, and he does try to call people to a certain way of thinking. I think as far as how he lives in consideration of other people. Um, but yeah, I have no doubt that he would have been maybe not victorious, but definitely I think he would have done better than Drake did in the battle. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think he would have too, bro. I think he would have too. So, but it was what it was. Let's get into the as the
For
world
sure.
burns, man. Hurricane Milton, bro. Like, shouts to Florida, man. Like remember there was a time period, especially in the '80s, when they used to be like people are old and they retire and move to Florida. They retire in Florida.
Right.
And maybe people still do that, and maybe they're speaking of aspects where they don't have these weather issues. But boy, I tell you what, man, like if you're a Floridian, bro, I feel like this year in particular, you had 2 hurricanes within a matter of days, and I know people there, so they were texting and we were praying for them. It's devastating, bro. Like when you see that stuff, you see the footage, you see all that. You in PA, you might get a blizzard, a snowstorm, but we don't really deal with that type of stuff up north. Did you have anybody in Florida that you were talking to? And right now, we ain't talking this track. Well, we tried to give y'all this surprise episode, but you know me, I can keep the party going. I know how to talk the talk. I tell you what, man, Hurricane Milton. This is honestly what I was praying. I was hoping that the Lord would use Hurricane Milton to bring some people to him, because I think the hurricane and the type of devastation is the kind of thing that can make people not want to trust the Lord. Like not want to, like they blame him for it. And I've said this before, but there are people, right, who say they don't, even some atheists say they don't believe in God or whatever, but when something happens, they'll be like, why did God let this happen? Or they may not identify as an atheist, but they're not like religious in the sense that they're going to some type of worship service of a particular deity, right? And I've always wondered, like for the people who don't identify as atheists, but we'll quick to say like, man, why did God let this happen? They'll be offended that God. I always wonder like, why don't they ever think, why did Satan let this happen? Like, if you believe that God exists, and I've said this before, but it still puzzles me that people will say, well, why did God let this happen? But it's like, well, if you believe in God, do you believe in an ultimate evil as well? And like, what if Satan? What if like God? Ultimately, sure. But like, what about Satan? Like, no one ever says like Satan did this, like an enemy. It's always like, why did God do this? I just think it's really fascinating. What a good hustle of the enemy that even though people won't deny that he exists, anything that happens, they lay it at God's feet rather than his feet. Like he's this good guy that it's just fascinating to me. But Hurricane Milton has been something else, and I've really, it's really been sad for the people. I've watched a lot of testimonies of people who were, losing their homes, man. I can't imagine that. When I went on sabbatical in July, I remembered thinking like, man, I'm going to leave my home for 6 weeks. And even though I had a friend of mine looking into it and stuff like that, there was still a sense where I felt like, now I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? But my house was protected. It was safe, but I was leaving it. And even my children, it was kind of like wild to leave our home. So when we came back, it was like, wow, I can't imagine what it's like to have to evacuate because of natural disaster coming, because of hurricanes. I mean, you're from Florida, you know these things happen, but you have to annually pray every year that that it skips over you. It doesn't, almost like the Jews in the Passover, that it passes over. And the devastation is crazy, man. So shouts to and prayers for people in Hurricane in Florida that experienced both of them. Like I think it was it Hurricane Helene and then Milton? Is back to back. It was incredible. I know I used to, after Katrina, there was a ministry that in '08. So Katrina was '05. And then in '08, I started getting flown down to New Orleans for 5 years in a row. I would go down there there was a week in April, late April, that was like some kind of, like not a spring break. Something happened in New Orleans public school system on this 1 week. So they would fly me out and I would go to multiple high schools all over New Orleans. They have them, where I'm from, we call them counties. Like I live in PG County, Montgomery County, right? We call them counties where I live. And so in New Orleans, they have they call them parishes. So you have Orleans Parish is like where the hood is, the school, and Jefferson Parish. And I used to go to both, but I spent a lot of time in Orleans Parish where Hurricane Katrina just ravaged these schools. Like, I mean, you would see these houses on these real high stilts, and it was just incredible to see that and to go around and see devastation with, they would have a circle on the house and an X, and each corner of the X had like a date, how many bodies they found, what military unit found them. It was just crazy, man. And just to see some of the devastation of Hurricane Milton and stuff, it just reminded me of some stuff that I just remember. So, shouts to the people in Florida who were hit by this exclusively. My friend's mom sent him pictures of their house that was flooded in 3 feet of water. And It's like, what do you do with that? Like, can you even resell that? And then I saw this thing on CNN where they were exposing that insurance companies in Florida are scheming to not pay people. They're getting people the underwriters to give people like 10 grand rather than 200 grand for and they don't care, because for them to get the money back, they have to sue the companies, and most people just don't do it. So it's like a hustle. You get people to pay for insurance, and then when they need it, you don't pay them. It is a real, we talk about inventors of evil, fam. So, shouts to to people who have survived the hurricane, and our condolences, man, go out to all the people whose homes have been destroyed. And may the church in Florida and around the globe rally around the state of Florida, man, and help people rebuild as best as possible. Because in all honesty, like if they said like, hey, you got to evacuate your home, it's not like, oh, okay, I'll just go move over here. Like, this is my home, man.
Right.
Like, I
That's
have
crazy.
friends and relatives, but it's like, this is my home. So I just can't imagine it, bro.
Nah, I'm not sure what I missed. Cut out. My phone died. My camera died, so I had to jump to the old throwback camera. So
Okay, well,
I
look.
got the-
That's right. I see it. You know what I'm saying? It looks stable. You know what I'm saying? You keep cutting off, they're going to be like, we don't never want to see cross-examine back again.
I know, right? That's
So I was just
super
talking
corny.
about the impact of Hurricane Milton and my experience of Katrina, having gone out there for years and preached after and seeing the devastation, and just
Right.
whenever I see like hurricane devastation, I feel a certain way about it, because even though I wasn't there directly, I was there in the aftermath. I'm talking about 3 years later, it was still distraught, man. It was just devastating. So I can't imagine the people who have left and come back and seeing their neighborhoods just destroyed and not knowing what to do. Because like the insurance companies aren't like bailing these people out. It's like a hustle. Get insurance,
Right.
but they're only going to give you enough to repair a roof. It's like, fam, I need a home.
Right.
What do you
yeah.
do with that?
And
The government has to step in somehow.
I keep hearing that like relief projects are like struggling too. Like people coming in to help. Like the government is struggling to get them there. I don't know if it's roads or what. I mean, as of yesterday, I was hearing that on the regular. So that's another. That adds trauma on top of the whole thing. You know.
Mm-hmm. And then speaking of Trump, then you got Trump saying that FEMA was under for all this other stuff. So it always becomes political, right? It always gets to a political bent where you just don't know who to believe. Everyone's saying everyone's lying. But in all of that back and forth, all that banter, there's hundreds of thousands of people that
Suffering.
don't know what to do, suffering,
Yeah.
don't know what to do. And I think it's easy to forget about it when you're not there, because we live in such a continuous news cycle that like big stories on Tuesday are like you forgetting about them by Friday. You've moved on to other things, you know?
Yeah, that's real.
So
It's definitely real.
let me ask you this. This is not, I'm just curious because we didn't talk about this actually, but I'm curious, what did you think of the Steve Lawson joint? You texted me and asked me about it. I didn't even know what you were talking about. And then I went and looked it up, and I've done a video or two on it, but I never really asked you, because I didn't know, did you bang with him in terms of because you came from you were a different Reformed cat when I met you than I was. So you came from that, and I had to help you cast out the demon of that Reformed, that attitude.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. So you're not rocking with these deliverance ministries and all this going on, right? Nah, that's a
Who, me?
sidebar. We'll leave that alone. Right
Yeah.
now.
Nah, I ain't banging with them.
So anyway, man, I tell you what. So I'll just start by saying this. Like, I never really banged with dude only because he sounded like Kermit the Frog to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's
When he
real
would
talk.
do his Bible studies and stuff, like his voice, I couldn't really get down with him. But that's not to say that I didn't bang with his theological perspectives, like the way that he taught, like the things that he taught. I thought he was a great contributor through Ligonier Ministries. Like I bang with Table Talk magazine. I get that on a regular basis. So he was a regular contributor to Ligonier, the whole ministry as a whole. So through that, I did benefit from what I perceived God was doing in his life. I tell you what it is. What it is for me is seeing men fall and seeing the effects of the fall is what makes it hard. You know, like you don't want to. I mean, you know it's gonna happen. It's not a surprise that people have sin in their lives. It is somewhat shocking when people who hold a platform and like a high level of authority, if you will, or influence. It is kind of shocking when they don't live up to the standards that they uphold in their, with their vocals. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I mean, we're to expect it. So how do you handle, like I commented on your post, man, how do we handle our faults is the question. How do we handle what we have that is wrong? Do we confess our sins so that we can be forgiven? Are we transparent about the struggles that we have? The things that tempt us, or are we trying to hide everything If you're hiding everything, this is what happens. You know, we've had shows where we talked about it on Cross Examine. Like when you have a platform for so long, you think it's a good idea to hide your issues because you don't want to mess up what you got going on. When in reality, it's going to be sought out no matter what. You know, everything shall be brought to light. The Lord
Yeah.
brings it all to light. So I really struggled with the fact that, you know, another man fell, man, especially with the whole thing with Bantu coming out. You know, he's bugging as well, like thinking he could be a polygamist if what they saying is true. Um, so
Yeah, right. That's kind of crazy, right? That came out of left field to me. Now
and
I
yeah,
never. I mean,
but right after,
right. Yeah, yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Now when you sent me the text like, "Hey, did we ever have Vince Bantu on the show?" I was like, "Nah, I don't think so." But I remember people talking about him in high regard, and I
Right.
think especially during that period when there was like all the race stuff was going on in the
Oh yeah,
church.
oh yeah,
He had written some things that were really helpful for people that
Yep.
were benefiting from.
yeah,
And so when you sent me that, I was like, "What's going on with him?" So I checked it out, and I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me, bro!"
yeah. I
Making
mean,
a case for so I didn't. Is he making a case, or is he married to two women and trying to
nah,
defend
he's
his?
denying it. I mean, the last I seen, he's denying everything that these men that he was in this accountability group with. So 3 men or 2 men that he was in the group with are apparently bringing allegations and saying that he confessed these things to them, and they brought another pastor in with them. So now there's 3 men that are reputable within the faith that have, you know, position in the body that are now bringing these accusations and saying this man is lying. But he's denying everything. I mean, he's, you know, but again, like just the fact that we have reproach so evidently being brought out, you know, like these are men that are supposed to be above reproach according to scripture, and yet we see reproach being brought out like it's nothing. I mean, on a regular basis. For Stephen Lawson, like dude's dad had to come out and say, I mean, homegirl's dad had to come out and say something like, how old is Steve Lawson? He probably older than her dad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And yet her
I mean,
dad,
he's 72,
right? And she was
and
in
so
her 20s.
she was 23, and it lasted until
Right.
she was 28.
Like I got a kid in his 20s. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
I guarantee dude is younger than Steve Lawson, and yet he's bringing this like, come on, man. I just don't understand where the simplicity of morality has gotten lost for people in those positions. Like I just don't. I don't get it.
Well, I'll
But
say this,
listen,
man.
Go ahead.
I think when people have a platform, I think on one side, I think you're right. They don't want to lose it. But I think the other side is, I think we think that, like, God blessing your ministry is God okay with the sin that you're doing.
Facts. Yes.
And I think there are levels to sin, right? There's no one, I mean, even the statement of being above reproach, there's no pastor without sin. So on one level, none of us are above reproach in the sense that we don't have any sins, that if you expose them, you could easily be like, what is it? You know, you got angry at your children, or you got, you know, all that. There's always going to be that. But I think these guys genuinely believe that because there's no immediate consequences and their platform is what it is, that somehow maybe God is saying, because you're doing so much for the kingdom, I'm okay with this sin. You know, I just think that's what people think. And I can't prove it. I don't know.
Yeah. Nah, I agree with that.
But I think guys who have big platforms think that the platform is an endorsement from God about who you are. And it's like, well, fam, God had the Assyrians and the Babylonians and let the world powers, even the Romans were in power when Jesus came. So
Right.
it's not like the endorsement of, or the platform or the popularity or those things are not endorsements by God. Those are just circumstances that have developed, and it's up to you to maintain the biblical fidelity, the biblical character, as difficult as it can be. So
That's a
I
fact.
just think it's wild.
I have a story that goes with that. So I went one time with so the I was a part of a church for about 5 years that was like on the charismatic side, heavy on the charismatic side, Pentecostal foundations. But I was learning while I was there. I was learning to be faithful, to be holy, to be set apart, and I was learning the importance of discipleship while I was there and evangelism. Right. What up? What up, Chris? What's going on, brother? So, the problem was though, this is one of the issues pertaining to what we're talking about. I went on a trip with the pastor who's now like an apostle, self-proclaimed. So anyway, I went on a trip with this individual, and I was yearning to glean from him, to grow. Like I'm thinking, yo, this is the pastor of the church, the head pastor. I'm gonna learn from him. He wanted me to be in his hotel room because I was like discipling his son at the time, at least thinking I was. I didn't know what discipleship was really at the time, but so we're sitting there, and I ask him as he's flicking through the channels. He stops at Benny Hinn, and I ask him like, "What do you think about this guy?" And he's kind of thrown back by the question, as if though I shouldn't be questioning anything here. So his response is, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I've heard a lot of bad things about like what he teaches and all that." So he says, "Well, don't you see the growth in his ministry? Don't you see the multitudes that he reaches? Like, how can you deny the benefit that he is to the body?" And I knew at that moment, fam, that I was not going to be discipled by this man, because he banked on the idea of what you're talking about. The growth of his ministry in his mind was, yo, we have to affirm this guy as a solid brother because look at how much he's done and how many people he's impacted. But fam, if you really think about it, when Jesus spoke about certain things, people left his ministry. Are we to say then that Jesus was not successful when he only had the 12 with him, or a certain crew banging with him because of the hard things he was saying? It just don't make no sense to me. So
Nah, it doesn't, bro. But I think, and I've always said this, and it becomes true, that the person with the biggest platform that has the most people worshiping him is the devil. He has more people worshiping him and the biggest platform.
That's heavy bars right there.
So on one level, having a big platform it doesn't mean anything. Like, you got to have the personal character, because Satan has a big platform. Satan knows theology, and he's not going to make it, So I just think, man, I never asked you about that, what you thought about that.
Yeah,
all right, so let's move on to this. I don't know what's happening in your world.
I know what's happening in my world.
but I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? So like the Philadelphia Eagles are supposed to be the talk, baby. They were supposed to be running the NFC East, but somehow things have changed.
I'll still hold this up.
Listen.
I'll still hold this up.
Fly Eagles. You're supposed to. I would be disappointed if you didn't. I'd be disappointed if you did not.
We're going to be back this week, man. We got like both receivers is back. Lane is back. Right. We'll see what happens. I mean, but they haven't been showing up like the Commanders have been showing up, or the Redskins, whatever you want to call them. They definitely have been doing their thing. They the surprise team of the season, fam. I'm happy for you. I am. These season tickets are paying off this year.
Brother, let me tell you something. This is what I've been telling people. For Commanders fans, it's not about how many games we win. And this is what I want to get to about the NFL being pressed, right? I appreciate, as a Commanders fan, any sports fan will appreciate when your team is playing well and everyone's talking about your team, right? And players on your team. But the NFL is being pressed right now. This is like week 6, all right? Week 6. We are 4-1, and Ravens are 3-2. Everyone is talking about this matchup, and this is going to really prove if the Commanders are the truth, and if they're going to, and no one really has us beating the Ravens, even though the Ravens, people think of the Ravens from the Ray Lewis era. That defense is not the same defense, man.
Nah, let's keep it the same team.
Let's keep it a thou wow. The Ravens defense right now is giving up over 280 passing yards a game. They may be good at stopping the run, and they may be good at stopping Jayden Daniels on some level because they're used to defending against a quarterback who scrambles like that too. In that regard, I'll give them that. But let's not pretend like, that doesn't mean that we're going to beat them. But let's not pretend like that their defense is the Ray Lewis era defense where they just shutting everything down. This ain't even the Joe. This ain't even the Joe Flacco era defense when they was winning. Nah, fam. Like, come on, bro. Like, let's keep it. Let's keep it a thou well. But here's where the NFL is pressed. There's all this talk like, this is the game. Are we looking at if Jayden Daniels wins? Is he the perennial MVP already? It's like, fam, he could get injured, be out. It's week 6, bro. Like, if we lose to the Ravens, guess what happens? Nothing, fam. We're going to be 4-2, still in first place in the NFC East, and still have a bunch of, what does it mean? They're acting like this is the Super Bowl, and it's like, no, fam. I'm excited. It's fun to have my team talked about. But this game, for us as a Commanders fan, this game doesn't really matter. Like, sure, we want to win. Yeah, they got to. I respect that. But they doing too much, though, fam. Like, it's one. If it was Sunday night football or Monday night, that's different. It's 1 o'clock on Sunday. You know, now personally, I'm gonna leave church. I preach on Sunday. I'm gonna leave as if it's a home game. I'm getting to the house. I want to see the game. But let's put this in perspective. If we lose to the Ravens, it doesn't prove anything about Jayden Daniels or the Commanders. It proves we lost the game. They're 3-2. The only teams that haven't lost are like Minnesota and Kansas City. Like, it proves we lost the game. We're basically a new franchise. We have a rookie quarterback. The fact that we're even hyping all this up, a young team. The fact that we're even hyping all this up is incredible to me. So I just think the NFL's pressed, man. Calm down, fam. If we lose to the Ravens on Saturday, we're 4-2, and we move on. We on to the next one. On to the next one. The season continues, bro. All this talk is like, man, get over yourself, man. What are we talking about right now? It's just like, man, stop playing with me, bro. As a Commanders fan, we love. This is what we love. We love the culture change. This is what we've been waiting for. Just like y'all. I watched Philly have a culture change. Y'all won a Super Bowl some years ago, right? And then y'all 17, and then y'all kind of fell off a little bit. Like I mean, you still were a decent team, but it wasn't until Jalen Hurts came, and then slowly y'all started to build, and the culture's changing. Now, this is a curse in the NFL, is whenever you give the quarterback that big money, once some of these players get that big money, they lose a little bit of that. Hey, they don't got nothing to prove. And I was like, oh man, I hope because I like Jalen Hurts. Yeah. I like good football players. Obviously, I'm not an Eagles fan, but and I'm biased. I like seeing black quarterbacks. I remember when you couldn't play quarterback position. When I grew up, it was like black people don't play quarterback. You had like Warren Moon and
that's it. And Randall Cunningham.
And Randall Cunningham. That was it.
That's it. Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham. Yep.
Yeah, Houston Oilers and the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's
you
right.
know what I'm saying? It wasn't until Mike Vick came that you was like, oh, they can play this position. So I feel like I like seeing it. I like watching Jalen Hurts play. But I just feel like I watched your culture shift. It don't look the same. And then not right now it doesn't. Because I think they got that brand. That's a different conversation. But so for the Commanders fans, we haven't had hope in a long time. Like, if I'm going to be honest, Baltimore is good, Lamar Jackson is good, but let's just be clear. He's been there a few years now. He has not delivered. He has not delivered. So whatever we want to say about the comparisons between Jayden Daniels and Lamar, even if Baltimore wins this game, he still hasn't delivered. We're talking about a rookie. We're talking about a guy who was playing his 6th NFL game against a guy who's a 2-time MVP that almost didn't even get re-signed by the Ravens, that he had to go on a campaign to get like a big contract. Remember, he fired his agent, I think, and then went on this sort of social media campaign, and they ended up paying him the money. Like, let's put things in perspective. Like, Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal player. They got Derrick Henry now. That dude is probably one of the hardest running backs to tackle. They got some players here and there. But let's just be honest. Mark Andrews is a great tight end. But let's just be clear. They haven't. Lamar, you could be excited about them beating us, but we're excited about a dude having the highest percentage in the NFL in just 5 games as a rookie, looking like a seasoned vet. We're
Yeah,
looking
that's
at the
impressive.
future. And to be honest, Lamar Jackson is already becoming a quarterback of the past. In the NFL, after about 5, 6 years, if you haven't really shown out, you kind of start to step back. Other people step up. So I'm not. I appreciate the hype, but I'm not really tripping, man. I'm not
Nah,
really
Lamar. I
tripping
mean,
off of it.
Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts are here. Like, it's not, that they're at
Yeah,
the same level. You know what I'm saying? They in the same. They've been in it for the same amount of time. Like,
yeah.
it's not. It's
Nah,
not. I
Chris,
don't
I'm
think
not
it's
going to the
comparable.
game. I'm not going to the game because I'm a season ticket holder already. I already spend a couple $1,000s, a few $1,000s every year to go to games. I ain't going to pay money to go somewhere else when I watch. So now I'm gonna watch it at home where I can be comfortable and relax. Now when they play, if they play it in where we at, then I'm gonna be at the game. So now I ain't going there. But I'm excited. I think if we put money in our offense, don't sleep. No, I'm not sleeping on y'all, Chris. I think y'all a good team. I'm saying the NFL is hyping this game up too much. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that you guys say don't sleep on us, you concerned too. You know what I'm saying? You concerned. Let's just be clear.
That's
You
what it
was
sounds like
probably
to me, Chris.
you was biting your nails watching that Cincinnati game. You know, they pulled that out in overtime of that, we beat Cincinnati too. And we kind of handled them the whole game. But again, Ravens are good. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, I hope we win. But if we don't, we're seeing the culture shift in DC in a way that we haven't seen since possibly well, not even when RG3 came, because it was still the culture was bad, but he was phenomenal. Now we're seeing the culture change, and that's big for us. So that's what we care about. Brandon said Baltimore was lucky to beat Cincinnati. They were. He fumbled the ball, but was fortunate. McPherson missed the field goal 100%. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is not the Ravens. They could beat us. They might. But this is not the
Brandon real confident out here, knowing he's a Chiefs fan out here
well,
talking
he
all this
should be.
gap.
I
You know
don't
what I'm
blame
saying?
Brandon. I don't blame him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
and you're
having a
right.
good year.
Yeah, you're right. We were the first team to win the Super Bowl with a black quarterback. Yeah, all right. So now I think the NFL is just pressed, man. Stop hyping everything up too much. All right, let's talk about this. I don't know. Now, since I was a kid, before I was a Christian and understood anything about spiritual warfare, all of that stuff. I mean, we always knew on some level that Halloween represented something evil. Like we were
Dark.
just hip, Yeah, we just knew it. But it was about candy when we were a kid. We was about candy. We didn't care about all that. I wasn't even, my costumes, man, we couldn't even afford no good costumes. I'd throw on a headband and pretend like I was Aunt Jemima or something. I remember going, I wasn't buying no costumes and all that. So, and now costumes are way more crazy than they used to be. Like they used to just be
What? This
Frankenstein.
joint is crazy,
And now
fam.
these joints is straight like, you look like a demon made that for you and said, here you go, Like
Man,
demons
listen,
got 3D.
some of these masks, you could walk into a store and trick somebody, and they think you like an actual person with a whole different joint. It's crazy, fam.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, but here's what I've watched over the years Halloween kind of just still be a celebrated holiday, but I think recently I was watching this last night. I was watching Thursday Night Football last night, Seattle, San Francisco. One of my homies, one of my future elders in the church was there. We was watching it, and it was on Amazon Prime. And the Amazon Prime was advertising all these horror films, right? And they were called at Amazon terrifying movies, right? And not terrifying, Terror, tarot, like tarot cards. It spelled it like tarot card, terrifying. And I thought, wow, now maybe I haven't been paying attention, but I thought, man, that's different. Like I thought terrifying, they're identifying tarot cards and making it like entertainment, right? Like it's entertaining, which is what Hollywood does. I used to love watching scary movies, even demonic ones. I don't watch them anymore. Not just because, I'd be afraid, but because I just know that they sensationalize spiritual warfare in a way that I don't think was biblical. They give, and I think the goal of these things is to like make those things look almost like able to compete with God on these levels, right? Man, in the scriptures,
Definitely.
when demons saw Jesus, even the dude that had legion, that had thousands of demons in him,
Right.
they ran up to Jesus and kneeled down and said, "What have you?"
Facts.
So I always tell people this: the spirits that you're afraid of, the demons that you're afraid of, are afraid of the God that you serve. Remember that. When
Listen,
you're
I mean,
afraid,
if the fear of the Lord is wisdom, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. What is the fear of those things?
right?
Where,
Well
where does
said,
that
brother.
fear lead you? You know what I mean?
That's a bar right there. That's a bar with serving drinks right there. That's a bar.
Facts.
It's
Yeah,
like
God is bigger than the boogeyman, fam. I mean,
right,
Veggie Tale status.
right. But I'm noticing that, and I think this is connected, inextricably linked to the rise in the occult and the rise in the Hollywood doing stuff like this, the signs, and the rise in like pro Satanism, the rise in witchcraft, the rise
Right.
in, I'm seeing this and the culture, and I'm watching like the sensationalization, the entertainment, the marketing. Now, don't get me wrong. Halloween has always been like costumes, this and that, scary movies, candy. I get it. But when I saw terrifying,
Yeah,
like
that's crazy.
that's a different level to me, bro.
Yeah.
That's different. When I saw terrifying, tarot cards, terrifying, I'm realizing like, wow, that would have been seen as sort of a taboo thing that's like, we don't do that, like tarot cards, Ouija board, that type of stuff. But now that's part of their marketing. So think about, I think like this. I think about the people who do not have the Spirit of God like we do. And I don't mean like me and you do, like just as Christians. Or the people who are very, new in their faith, don't have strong convictions of things. They see this terrifying, right? So it almost makes tarot cards entertaining, right?
Yep.
And not realizing that behind the tarot cards, that what you call is just entertainment is real demonic stuff. It's real cosmic evil things, and people get drawn into that. People don't realize that there's a spiritual world where they are sharp. They've been watching. They understand things that you don't, so they can communicate in ways that we don't. So you go read someone, get a tarot card, and it's just the demons that know your life are telling the demons to this woman the stuff that's, and it's like, oh my gosh, and then you get drawn into it. So I just thought, wow, we're really, and I mean, we've always entertained. Halloween's always been entertaining, and I think, we need to do a future show on the strategy, the scheme of the devil of entertainment. Man, does he really move well when it's entertaining? I mean, we fall for these celebrities and these people because they entertain us, man. He just has I'm not saying entertainment is satanic, but he uses it in ways because he knows human nature. We idolize people who entertain us. So even like with Steve Lawson,
Right.
part of the reason why, now I'm glad you said this, because this is why I love you, brother, because you were cut from the same cloth. When you said, and some people may be like, oh, that's self-righteous or whatever, but this is just us, this is how we honestly think. When you said you couldn't follow Steve Lawson because he sounds like Kermit the Frog, I didn't say nothing. I ain't smiling nothing, but I quietly in my heart said, that's little bro right there. That's my dude right there. Because I couldn't listen to him either. Well, you got it back. And I was just like, nah, I can't. And whether it was self-righteous or not, I just come from man's I'm from man's world. And so like when you come off like that, I just can't get into you, brother. When you said that, I was like, yes. But if you think about it, I watched a video from someone who supports and follows him and that whole world. And I watched them gently, like talk about it, and almost in like wow, man, like really disappointed, like one of my heroes fell. And I also saw that person talk about a charismatic pastor who wasn't accused of anything close to that and was dogging them. Right. And so it was like, oh, okay, so you don't agree with the charismatic theology and you go after that hard, but you have so much grace for this guy and his theology and so forth. Now, when I talked about it, I didn't say this on the show because I didn't want to speculate, but since so much has come out. But when I read let me ask you this. What did you think of the statement that his church put out? Steve Lawson's statement.
I don't know. Did I read the statement that his church put out? Was that something that I sent you? Or not?
No, you didn't. Well, I'll tell you what is. There was a line where it said, "We have faithful men who have been paraphrasing. We've been preaching, but God has been building His church long before Steve Lawson, and will be building it long
yes,
after."
I did hear
Steve
that.
Lawson.
Yep, I did hear that.
Okay.
Yep.
I remember thinking that statement right there is indicative. I was like, these men are offended because everything else you could have kept in there, but it took that out. But I was like, that was a throwing him under the bus statement. And I said, whoa, there's there. And then as more came out, it was like, okay, this is probably why. But my point, what I'm saying is, we idolize people because they either entertain us, they have bigger platforms than us, or they taught or wrote a book that matters to us. And all of a sudden, it becomes that. So Satan uses entertainment. He uses our propensity for platforms. Remember when the disciples were like, when Jesus said it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for the rich to be saved, and they were like, well, then who then can be saved?
Yep.
Because it's human nature to think material blessing, circumstantial blessing means God approves of your life. And so Satan just works through entertainment. And now we're seeing Amazon Prime like terrifying, almost like promoting tarot cards, which is another way for people to have their guards down, think this is a game and it's fun, and not realize they get pulled into a spiritual warfare that they didn't ask for and don't know how to handle.
And that's crazy because if you look on YouTube right now, at least I know we always talk about how the algorithms affect everything that we see, but if we look on YouTube, like there's so many things about witchcraft and testimonies about witchcraft. You know what I'm saying? As far as entertainment is concerned, there's an old preacher. I know he's passed on now. I believe he's with the Lord for years now, but his name is Leonard Ravenhill, and he was more of a charismatic bent, an evangelist type dude. And he said one time, and I was listening to one of his on sermon audio, he said that entertainment is the replacement of the Holy Spirit. And I remember when I first heard that, Joan, I bucked back because I'm a creative. So part of being a creative is creating entertainment. Creating things that entertain people. So I remember bucking back mentally and spiritually thinking like, nah, this dude is way too, religious and too legalistic, whatever the case may be. But as the years have gone by and I've considered how much entertainment has affected my own life and my own spiritual growth and how much it has actually combated my personal time with the Lord or even devotional time with my family, I can't say that I disagree with him, fam. Like, I think entertainment is used as a replacement for the Holy Spirit because if you think about it, what does entertainment do but captivate our focus?
100%.
It grabs our focus. You know what I mean? So whatever captivates our focus ultimately has our heart, to its fullest extent. Like if we're drawn to something and we constantly come back to it, and we're constantly depending upon this thing, going to this thing, devoting our time to this thing, or actually the time that God has given you to this thing, then it's not too far off before it's attached to your heart. And then you're dealing with idolatry. So I think that's what entertainment ultimately does, especially if you start to examine how much you've compromised with what you're able to watch and intake that's contrary to what Scripture talks about as being good, righteous, and healthy. I know if I do that with my own life, even right now in this own moment, I would be heavily convicted because I always have to fast forward, fam. No matter what I'm watching, I got to hit fast forward mad times. Like, I just started watching that Aaron Hernandez joint, and I mean, there's so much content in there that's like contrary. I have to keep hitting fast forward the whole time. Yeah. So And this is, yeah, I'll still go back to it. Why? One, I'm entertained by it, but there's also, I do like doing research. I like knowing what happened with dude, and there's a human psyche involved. When you deal with people, you disciple people. It's good to know how people think about things and how they maneuver through things. So I do pull that from that as well. But entertainment, I think, has become somewhat of a replacement for the Holy Spirit. I would agree with Leonard Ravenhill.
Yeah, I've said or heard it said that all entertainment is the enemy of all, right? Like an awe of God. Like entertainment is the enemy
Oh, I
of it.
got you.
Yeah, and I think in many ways, so much of what Christians struggle with, this is not on the same vein, but sort of in the idea of replacement, like for the Holy Spirit, right? I think a lot of when you think about that idea and how entertainment has replaced sort of the Holy Spirit and the desire for God, then when we're entertainment also has to do with like what choices we have. And so a lot of the entertainment has to do with what choices I have. I can choose to stream this show. I can choose to do this. I can choose to do that. So much of entertainment has to do with choice, what
A
I
lot of
desire,
choices.
what I want, a lot of choices. When you think about a lot of the newer theology that's coming out, I see the enemy working in that in the same way, where you create a theology that says God has your blessing, your breakthrough, your purpose, this type of language, right? I never read The Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren, so I don't know how good or bad it was. But I think this idea of purpose, blessing, like when I read the Bible without any of that, I know what my purpose is, right? I know that my job is to honor the Lord, take up my cross, deny myself, take up my cross, and follow Jesus.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty clear.
never, I never thought that I needed to have some ulterior purpose that I'm waiting for God to unlock. And what happens is this idea makes you just like it gives it we have choice. So now I want I want to receive something from God. My obedience to God is because not because I long for him, right? But I long for things from him, right?
Right.
Like obedience is supposed to be because we belong to God.
Amen.
But
Amen.
we've created a culture where people long for things from God. So they want
Yep.
more from God instead of more of God. I mean, if you ask the average Christian, I don't know, I can't prove this, but if you ask the average believer, would you rather have a deeper understanding and knowledge of the word, or would you rather have God bless you with a new home and a new job and stuff? I bet you the vast majority of people would say the latter, right? The
Yeah.
latter. Because we think that we live in a culture of choices and entertainment. And so a lot of our
And the
faith
temporal.
yeah, and we want God to entertain us. And the way God can entertain us is by giving us material things. We love new Amazon packages. We love new. So you see that. So you get these preachers who are preaching sort of theo entertainment, right? It's almost like this, like God wants to do this, and it's all exciting but a lot of the excitement is not because of what Jesus did on the cross. It's what you're waiting for him to do now. And so many people are being led astray thinking that, not even realizing that entertainment is playing a role in how they understand God and how they're following him. And I just think it's fascinating, bro. It's fascinating to see these God being replaced. I feel like God being replaced. The biblical is being replaced by purpose, breakthrough, and blessing. That's what I think. Like, remember the disciples were like, "We've left everything to follow you," and he said, "Yeah, and whoever did that will be blessed in this life and the life to come." He said, "That's your
Amen.
purpose. Like, go out and here's the purpose: go into all the world and preach the gospel, baptizing in the name." I don't need a breakthrough of purpose. People are like, "Well, Pastor Kurt, how'd you know you want to be a pastor? You found your purpose." No, I didn't. It was a job, my dude. Like
Right.
it was a calling, and that's what it was.
It's what
I
needed
wasn't.
done. It was what
It's
needed
what needed
done.
done, and the Lord opened the doors for that. So,
Right.
I really feel like this is that we're in like a crazy. You've heard me say this before. I think the age of the apostasy, right? The great apostasy. I don't think the great apostasy is going to be people leaving the religion of Christianity. I think people will leave the character of it. I
Yeah, you
think more
definitely said that
people
before.
will leave the character of the faith, the fruits of the spirit, right? They won't leave the religion of it because most people don't want to go to hell, right? But they don't want to go to heaven either, right? They don't want to go to hell, but they don't live like they want to go to heaven. And it's really fascinating. So all that, when I saw the terrifying ad, I thought, wow, this is crazy. Like now we're marketing and making tarot cards something. And I thought, man, the enemy is just working.
You think
And
it's
so I just
because
want
they
to
don't? You think it's because they don't look like clowns no more? Like, remember back in the day, we used to see Miss Cleo. Remember, you know what I'm saying? She would be on there looking all goofy and doing the. Actually, she looked a lot like some televangelists back in the day.
Yeah, she
You
did.
know what I'm saying?
Miss Cleo?
Real
Yeah.
rap. Yeah. But
Call
do you
me
think it's
now.
yeah, call me now. Do you think it's because we don't see that? Like that they have some type of relevance, or do you think it's because people are actually more open to the spirit realm? Like we've moved beyond the age of what do you call that? What's the age of knowledge? Like where you anyway, we're now
Information age?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you said well, I call it the age
Yeah,
of
like the
enlightenment
information age.
and
Yeah,
the
like
age of-
postmodernism. Like postmodernism,
Yeah,
you know, the
yeah,
information
right.
age, yeah. Or
You think it's
as
'cause
they
of that?
call it, enlightened, the age of enlightenment,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But now we're like kind of moving past that, and we're so open to the spirit realm, like even culturally. I mean, even if you listen to hip hop now, hip hop has embraced this idea of spirituality. I think Nas was big on it, you know, years back with God's Son and all of that. But now it's kind of become a cool thing to sound like Strack when you rapping on the mic in the secular
Right.
world, fam.
Yeah, yeah.
It's wild to me, B. But
Yeah.
I think because of that is part of why the industry is embracing like you're saying, this terrifying thing, this concept. You know, they're leaving behind the whole alphabet community because it didn't benefit them financially. But
Yeah.
Halloween and the holidays will forever benefit because everybody loves the holidays.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I think so. When we ask questions like that, that's a really good question. I think we're conditioned to. Remember, we did this a couple years ago. We did a show called the Either Or Pandemic or something like that. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where we were talking about we live in this world where we think it's either this or that, and the only either this or that is Jesus or not. Apart
Amen.
from that, there's no. It's either the dichotomy. People are complicated people, so. I would answer that question in a broader sense. I think what's happened is we've been desensitized to evil and consequences in our culture. That's the real thing. We sensationalize evil. So if you're from the urban community, rap music and stuff sensationalized evil, drug life, street life, thug life. You know, we got hoodwinked by that, right? You sensationalize it, you make it, and then you make people desire it. It becomes desensitized. The LGBT community, they had Ellen DeGeneres, who was at the time a growing beloved comedian, who on her show Ellen came out as a lesbian on the show, and it was a big deal. And then people liked Ellen because she was funny, and then so you kind of start to think, well, hey. You know, now these people aren't so gross to me because I like this person. They're entertaining. And then you had stuff like Will and Grace TV shows where the actors are gay and or they're acting gay on the show. And so you have a bunch of entertainment, and so you start to get desensitized to it. Now the enemy, Satan, you know, they said the greatest trick he's ever pulled is convincing the world he doesn't exist. I don't think that people don't think he doesn't exist. I think the greatest trick that he ever pulled was convincing the world there's no consequence for submitting to following his existence. So I think a lot of people, yeah. I tell Diddy, listen, Satan loves you until he doesn't. You know,
exactly.
So again, but you think there's no consequences. Diddy thought he's good. There's no consequences for his actions, and he waited and waited, and then now he's going to get hit with all of them and a bunch of other. So again, I feel like we live in a culture where we so desensitized to evil. I mean, someone put this in here earlier. Someone said, who said this? Yeah, I didn't put this up. Kyle put this. New age witchcraft are in video games. Horror games the most. One Choice making horror games has tarot cards as a mechanic, right? So you get like the games like the Fortnites and different things, and you play these first person shooters, and you just get used to just killing people and blowing off heads and just doing crazy stuff. You play Mortal Kombat, and the finishing moves are like just brutal and just all brutality. All this stuff becomes entertaining. We get desensitized to it. And so then in reality, we're not as affected by it. So we get desensitized to all these things. And then you couple, the enemy says there's no consequences. So even people who, like believers who once believed and say they don't believe anymore, act like because I no longer believe, then everything about, like true is only true if you believe it. And that's just untrue. Like Jesus
yeah, right?
Like,
Try running through a stop sign and using that excuse.
Right. Yeah, if you think I don't believe in gravity anymore, gravity's not true. Okay, cool. Go on top of this 10-story building and just walk off.
Doses.
Let's make that hypothesis. Yeah, that's it. You'll find out really quickly, and you'll find out in nanoseconds that you were wrong, right? So I think there's this reality that we're desensitized to evil and to the consequences for pursuing it, and part of what desensitizes us is the entertainment. It makes everything fun, like even language. Like, I'm having an affair. An affair sounds like something fun. Like, who doesn't?
Right.
But when you realize that language is like, no, I am adultery. If you don't want to use that word, because I am in a relationship with someone else who is married and destroying their family. No one says it like that, you know?
Right.
So again, it sounds entertaining. It sounds fun, and a lot of the music. I don't listen to a lot of secular music that much today, but a lot of the little snippets I hear, the R&B music, it's all about like lust and stuff. Like
it always was about adultery.
It was
and sleeping with some other dude's chick.
But there's a difference between Mrs. Jones. We got a thing. There's a difference between that and like Mr. Steal Your Girl. You know what I'm saying? Or like Chris Brown. This man is charging $1,000 to take pictures with dudes' girls.
Yo, you saw that meme? Yeah. Did you see that? Oh, bro. I would have punched Chris Brown in the face. I would have just let him keep homegirl. I would have been like, yo, you can have her, B. She can stay here with you, man. Bro.
Did you see this video where one person did that? Their girl went up. It was in Africa, though. Their girl went on stage. It was her boyfriend took her. First of all, let me say this. If your girl has a celebrity crush, kill that, bro. Don't think for a moment. That
right away. Like, you better
man, I used to know people that would talk like this, my celebrity crush. Man, that's celebrity lust, fam. You better kill that.
Facts.
Because nowadays, celebrities are accessible. You know, they'll respond to you on Twitter. They'll respond to you in the comment section. They're accessible.
And they'll invite you to a Diddy party.
Slim, these people go on regular old girls' DMs, and so these people are accessible. But this African dude was like a really popular dude. This girl went on stage and was just letting this dude freak her out in front of her boyfriend, right? That dude was like, it's a wrap. He ended the relationship. I respect him, right?
Yeah.
But I saw all these pictures of these girls with guys. I just saw one the other day on Facebook. A dude standing there like this, and
she's on his lap.
She's on Chris Brown's lap, and he's grabbing her. And the dude, her boyfriend, is standing there like this. I'm good with this.
Nah, bruh.
We're so desensitive because Chris Brown made songs that you liked, and you entertained him. He entertained you. Your wisdom, your discernment meter is done.
Facts.
So that's what I think happens, man.
I mean, it's like kids sending off. I mean, adults sending off their kids to be with an artist, for some type of discipleship. I mean, what is the idea? Like when we talk, I mean, when this whole thing with R. Kelly came out and the parents were giving testimonies and all of this stuff on the the stuff that was made about R. Kelly, all the shows and stuff. It blew my mind to think that parents were actually sending their teenage daughters to go be with this dude in certain locations. Like,
Right.
that's crazy to me. It's the same thing with this Diddy situation. Like how a parent, like how Usher's mom gave him the Diddy. Like how or Bow Wow, like how, or Bieber, like how do y'all do that? I don't understand how parents, like you're saying, because they're captivated by celebrity and this idea of somehow achieving the American dream, right? And being like reaching stardom through their child. What the world? Like, really, fam? Send them to Star Search. Yeah, bring Star
Right.
Search back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, in
that's
all honesty,
crazy.
if you're going to have your kids be in the entertainment world, you have to be with them, and
You
you
got
have
to.
to learn. You have to learn everything about the industry that you can, just to protect yourself in them.
Facts.
Because
Facts.
they
And you better
will
have
tell
a gun
you-
with you.
Yeah, they will tell you everything. They will tell you whatever. They'll tell you anything, bro. And then they'll be doing all this stuff to your kids, and you
Yeah.
won't even know it. I mean, I'm just.
That's
I mean,
the
we
most
did a show-
disturbing part. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We did a show some years ago where we talked about. Remember when like the Corey Haim and Corey Feldman were like bringing up all this stuff? It was
Yes.
when the new X-Men movie was coming out, and they said the director, I think it was Bryan Singer or something like that. They were accusing this dude of like some crazy stuff back then, and it was like, and it just kind of got swept under the rug. So just to jump here, one thing I'm glad about the Diddy situation is that like now some justice can happen, and other people will be put to the fire. Their feet will be put. Some other people will be called out because you just ruined a lot of people's lives. I mean, imagine.
According to the prosecutor, a lot of people are going to be put under the fire, and corporations as well,
Yeah,
who benefited.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm all for it because
Me too.
I mean, think about how many people's lives were ruined. Like just someone who grew up in the church that wanted to sing, they heard her could sing, gave her a record deal. She thought, man, I get to now use my talent for the world, and then she gets turned out in the industry, and is now going to these types of parties. She's forced to engage in drugs and sexual activity, and now it becomes her choice of preference. Like, I can't imagine how many people that he turned to a lifestyle of ridiculous sin. And the scripture says it would be better if a millstone had been tied around your neck than to get one of these little ones to sin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, can't imagine, bro. How many
Listen,
people...
I have a whole different perspective on Bieber. You know, like like the whole era that he went through, that phase where he like went crazy for a little bit, and like I mean, I can't imagine. I can imagine what he went through, and the fact that he went through those things and he's still standing, and he still has like the mental capacity to make decisions for himself and live properly. Praise God, man. Like, honestly, I've seen videos about him worshiping the Lord and desiring to, you know, express the goodness of God. Man, I pray that the Lord is definitely working on his heart and healing the things that he's gone through for all of them children. Man, listen, for kids to have gone through that, I can't imagine, bro. Like, I mean,
kids, bro. Like you said it,
kids,
kids,
man.
bro.
Kids. Like, when you talk about some of the rumors behind some of the other people, like, doing things with their own children, bruh, like if this stuff starts coming out like that, I mean, we can't handle entertainment the same way. We can't deal with Hollywood the same way. Like, if the rumors that are being shared, like with Will Smith's name being dropped and all of these other people, like if any of these things are true, I think as the church, I don't think we should handle Hollywood the same way anymore. I don't think we should handle entertainment the same way. Like, there has to be some type of distinction or stance made, because that's crazy that went on for that long, and there was rumors and people and nobody said or did nothing, and we still was entertained by these cats.
Yep. Yeah, I just did a video on this a couple days ago, 2 days ago, of why I don't even follow all of the Diddy news, because I said it's an indictment against all of us. It's not an indictment. I said he's not getting indicted. We are.
Man, listen, yo, We were in the kitchen the other day and we're talking about this Diddy stuff, me and the wife, and she mentioned parties that I used to have back in the day when I was in my early 20s. And she talked about some of the details, and I thought, wow, I'm not exempt.
Mm.
Like, I'm not exempt. It really brought it home to me. You know what I'm saying? It
Wow.
was like
Wow.
the Lord really, the Lord really has done a work because I'm not exempt. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
the fact that it was happening at that high level is not surprising. What really is bothersome is how long it went on and how many people knew and it's still rocking. Like that's
Mm.
it really does. I'm telling you, fam, it really puts this whole entertainment thing into a different perspective.
It does.
Like Hollywood has owned our hearts for how long and our minds for how long. You know,
Yeah.
people don't even want to live out there no more. Like they're going to
Nah.
Texas and Florida and wherever else. Like nobody even wants to live
Yeah.
out there no more.
And I think, yeah, I think the Lord's exposing it for that purpose, bro. I think the
That's
Lord's
wild.
exposing it for that purpose, so that people can see what they're really worshiping, and then turn and worship Him.
And how it's tied to Satanism, like the occult, like the stuff
All of
that's
it.
like like I was listening to Kim Porter's book, some of it because it's kind of crazy, but and some of the things she talked about, like even
I don't know
having.
who is Kim Porter. For those of us who don't know.
So Kim Porter was Diddy's first wife. Like that
Okay,
was
right,
Diddy's
right,
first
right.
wife. He had kids to him, and there were rituals that were done prior to the child's birth, like rituals. You know what I'm saying, like physical rituals
Right.
that involved other people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow.
I just can't. I mean, the kinds of like you said in the beginning, inventors of evil. And considering that you could receive some type of energy to maintain your status of celebrity and influence, and you would sacrifice children and your own spouse in different ways for the achievement of these things and the maintaining of these things. If that's not diabolical and blatantly diabolical, I mean, how I don't know what is. It's so selfish to the core, fam.
Yeah. But when you, as you know, when you live in a world where that stuff is celebrated, you're desensitized to how selfish
That's
it
true.
is.
That's true. I think we all have been to a certain extent.
Yeah, that's why I think desensitization has been the greatest tool of the enemy in the last 40 years.
Facts.
I think we went from things that we would never approve of to things that we're thinking, why does this bother you? It's
Right.
just like incredible. Like I said this before, I'll say this and I'm gonna end this. I remember like back in the 50s or 60s, even though the country was still wild, there was still a certain level of perceived morality, right? There was certain
Yeah.
level of standards.
To some
So I'll
extent.
say perceived, right? That's what I'm saying. Like it was wild back then, but the morality was, at least there was a different like sexual ethic. Like,
Yeah.
if you got a woman pregnant, they'd say you got to make an honest woman out of her. All
Right.
this stuff. I mean, the sexual revolution with the gay rights stuff in the 60s was like insane to people because they had such a sexual ethic. Like you weren't like, if you committed adultery, like you were a home wrecker, all these things, right? It was just like, wow, look at what you've done. There was a level of a view of
Shame.
marriage. There was a view of shame, right? And so, remember when Tiger Woods got exposed for, first it was just one woman, I forgot her name, long dark hair, she was always wearing glasses. He got exposed for cheating on his then wife, with this woman. Mm-hmm. But then shortly after it, a bombshell hit, and you realize, oh wow, Tiger Woods is a freak dude because he had done this with a lot of women. But I'll never forget this lawyer named Gloria Allred, who's sort of a name in like the entertainment sort of world. She was representing 3 women who were boasting on sleeping with Tiger Woods, and they wanted to get book deals and get notoriety. They wanted to get known for it. And I thought, wow, there was a time when they would have been ashamed to even be identified with that action.
Scarlet Letter.
100%, right?
Yeah.
There was a time where that would have been shameful, but now it's people.
An opportunity.
It's an opportunity, right? For what? For entertainment, to be known, to be. So again, we've seen this desensitization for decades through the guise of entertainment, and the desensitization is towards how evil things are and the consequences of that evil. And because so many people got away with this evil, so in the music business, it had been like Diddy's parties, his freak offs. In Hollywood, it would have been called the casting couch, right? Where now you got to have sex with Harvey Weinstein to get put
Right.
in this film. You know, you got to do these things with him. All the it was just it was incredible, and I think the Lord is now exposing it, mainly so that His children can be like, stop giving so much of your time, energy, and desires to these things. Like walk away from this. And this is what I love about YouTube. YouTube, I see a lot of Christian content creators on YouTube, like people that like I wanted to be famous. I want they get and the Lord just lets their YouTube channel pop, and now you have an audience. You make a little bit of money. You're able to do things for God in a space that doesn't compromise what you thought or believed about God. And I'm grateful for the platform, even though YouTube doesn't honor the Lord in and of itself. It's my favorite platform. Like I don't tweet anymore. I don't even. I mean, I still have a Twitter. I don't tweet. I only post. I post pictures because I do photography. You know,
I
I'm
shot you.
still with the clicker. I shot you. I went from the guns to this, so I still do that. So I still post pictures from time to time, but it's my favorite platform. But I appreciate the ability to make content, even though they can slightly not want you to say certain things, or the algorithm won't pump it out. It won't put it where it needs to go, so more people see it. But for the most part, you're able to make content that honors the Lord and not have to compromise your character. And it's almost like a Hollywood replacement on one level. Not on the same level, but you don't have to go through all this stuff. So I'm seeing all these people, the Girls Gone Bible, the girls, really pretty, attractive girls, they have a podcast that's popping. And I think largely people like it because they're pretty, but they were all like, they were in Hollywood, they left. And so it's like, now they got this podcast. I'm pretty sure they're being asked to speak at different Christians events across the country. All this stuff, bro. It's just like, I appreciate that the Lord is doing that. But I think He's exposing a lot of the entertainment things that we're drawn to. And it's not just like watching a movie or binging a show. It's the culture behind these shows. The beliefs behind this movie that people are starting to really see what's going on now.
I tell you what, though, there is, like, interestingly enough, there's a rise in Christian creativity to the point where it's being acknowledged somewhat by the secular realm, like both in cinema and music. Like, I think there's always been an understanding that the church has impacted entertainment from a musical realm. Like, you know, people grow up in a choir, they're like Beyonce's and all these people that they learn their skills in the church first.
Right.
But from like for example, from a CHH perspective, like there's dudes in Christian hip hop now that are intermingling on tracks with MCs like a RJ Payne, for example, dudes that are reputable in the world and respected from a lyrical perspective. They're now the worlds are meshing together where they're acknowledging Christian content as not just substandard but actually competitive and up to par with what the world has to offer. So for example, in cinema, it would be like a Chosen, or even some movies that have been coming out. You know, there's movies that have been coming out in Christian cinema that are like, they're keeping up with the world standards. You know what I mean? Like Caviezel with that joint he did last year or 2 years ago, whatever it was. I mean, it blew the box office out. You know what I mean? So I do think it's interesting that the Lord is, as well as He is exposing entertainment and the wickedness that is there, He's allowing us as Christians to shine creatively in the world to a certain extent. Maybe it'll be just for a limited time, but He's allowing us to get our shine and get some recognition. I mean, you know, I got producers that are secular that are checking me out on the gram, like listening to my stuff and thinking my stuff is dope. Cats that are rock with KRS-One and them dudes. So the world is acknowledging our talent, our gifts, and they're hearing us boast about Christ. and they're not shying away from it. That's dope.
Well said,
You know what I'm
bro.
saying?
Well
Yeah,
said.
so I
Yeah.
think we should run with that too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I wouldn't abandon entertainment. Let's just restore it, right?
Right,
The
facts.
restoration.
Yeah.
Let it be a part of the restoration of all things. So I'm excited
Word.
for that, man.
Make it
Bro,
holy.
it was good to get back on here with you, man. You know,
Yes.
shouts
yes.
to the people that been asking where's cross examine at. So I appreciate y'all day ones that remember what we was doing. We had a lot going on, so we trying to figure it out. But I just thought, man, let's jump back out there, say what's up. Want y'all to see Strack the homie. Hey, so where do people go to get your music? Because you got a lot popping right now. Where can people go to get your music?
His Hype Man Strack on all platforms, man. Obviously, I got a Bandcamp, so if you want to support me direct, Bandcamp is the way to do it. The majority of the ends will come straight to me. It'll go straight back into the music ministry. I don't like to use any of my personal funds to do stuff with the art or with the music. I'd rather it pay for itself. So the more y'all support, the more you get. Either way, I'm going to keep making music for the glory of the Lord. So His Hype Man Strack everywhere. Check it out and tell your peoples, man. We do it a little bit different over here, me and this brother. So
yeah.
pay attention.
That's what's up. Yeah, we do. We do a little bit different. I got an album dropping on Bandcamp next Friday. I should have put the one of my next videos. I'll put the album cover up so y'all can see it. But I got an album dropping under the moniker JFK. Jonathan featuring Kennedy, Jesus for King, and it's gonna be a good joint. It's gonna be a good banger.
It's been a long time coming for that joint.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good joint, man. So I'm looking forward to dropping that, and then some other stuff I'm gonna be doing. But always appreciate y'all, man. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for that. I'll have some content for y'all tomorrow, but I had to bring the homie Strack back. You know what I'm saying? Make sure we do it. We working it out. It might be Friday nights. Might be the best night for us, man. It's always about the day and trying to figure out when to do it because and all of that. So
ain't nothing but a thing, brother. We just gotta make it happen. So when we can do it, we'll do it.
So saying appreciate you, Chris. You know what I'm saying? Then somebody said, "How can I send you music?"
They want to send us music.
Yeah.
We ain't no A&Rs out here, man. We trying to push our own music.
Yeah. Are you talking? I'm not sure if he's talking about like beats or like his music to. Because I would say,
I'm always down to eat beats. I'm a beat
If
eater,
about,
so I'm always down for that.
Beats. You're talking about beats, but if you're talking about like music, we're probably not the right people to send it to, brother. I would more look at like Track Stars or
Rapzilla.
I know Ruslan. Well, I don't know if he does this anymore. He used to do like a Friday night listening to people's music, stuff like that. So he said music, I did, my bad. Yeah, we're probably not the people to send it to because in all honesty, we're just regular old dudes. We're artists ourselves. And so we want people to listen to our music. So we're not real. I promote his music, he promotes mine, and just the people that we know and love. But I would say like Track Stars, Rapzilla, Holy Culture Ranger. Yeah, they're still doing their thing. I'm trying to think who else. I don't think Ruslan does them Friday night joints anymore. I think he's moved beyond that. But
find the DJs, man. Find the DJs on social media and push it to the DJs.
Yeah, they'll play that joint. They'll do that stuff, man. So, but appreciate it. My cat just walked in here. No, man, what you doing, man? No, man. The dude just be walking in. I just feel something on my leg. I'm like, well, what is that?
He runs the block, man. He runs the block out here.
Man, dude, he be spinning the block, bro. You know what I'm saying? I will end with this. Thank you, brothers. I'm glad you guys are back. I enjoy you brothers' music. Praying for y'all. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, John. Appreciate you so much, man. Thank the rest of y'all. We appreciate you. We'll see y'all on the next, episode. Appreciate y'all. Grace and peace, man.
Peace.